Hi, hello, my name is Anna, and I haven't made a video in a really long time. I'm still working on my life in a lot of different ways. Also today it's raining, so if you hear some of the rain, that's what's going on. So hopefully by using my headphones you can hear me a little better. Hello, I hope that you're having a wonderful, beautiful, amazing, perfect day. And today I wanted to talk about so I made a video many months ago talking about honoring oneself, and I kind of want to talk about what I mean by that terminology here. Also, I have Tibbs behind me. This is my kitty, Tibbers. Yeah, so I kind of want to talk about what I mean when I'm saying honoring yourself. When I'm talking about honoring oneself, I am talking about so many things in that thought process. And really, for me right now, honoring myself is honoring my authenticity and my boundaries. So, when you're honoring yourself, there's three things that I think kind of go into honoring yourself, which is like self-acknowledgement, enacting, so the actual enactment of honoring oneself, and adjusting the environment that you live in so that it reflects you honoring yourself in a healthy way. Okay, so what I mean by those things, let's start with self-acknowledgement. So self-acknowledgement, from my perspective, in relation to honoring yourself, is related to really having to analyze oneself, think about how you are in relation to other people. Having boundaries and honoring yourself, while it is very much, and especially if it persisted from a child, from your early developmental period, everything is a transaction between you and the environment, you and the stimulus, you and people. So it is between the self and the external. And so thinking about self-acknowledgement or self-analyzing for me is in relation to thinking about how past situations that you might have experienced, how those relate to whether or not you were able to honor yourself and whether or not you were able to have healthy boundaries with those people. As much as toxic people with toxic behavioral patterns, as much as them pushing and abusing you is like definitely a projection of their own needs not being met, at the same time, how you engage with people is directly correlated to how people engage with you. So first, understanding that you're a part of that transaction or a part of that engagement is really, really important. We want to remove the idea of a victim complex. And so things may happen to you. People might treat you poorly, and that's just not anything that you could have done. Like, you might not have, it might not even be related to how you present yourself to the world and how people might abuse you in relation to how you present yourself. However, once someone treats you poorly, whether or not however someone responds to you and engages with you, you then get to respond and engage with them. So if they're treating you in such a way that it is affecting your self-love and your mental health and how you live in the world, your physical health also, how you relate to others. I have a video about balance and the areas of balance that I think are important, or what I think is related to balance in life. If you're relating to someone and they're negatively impacting balance in your life, you do not have to keep up with those engagements. If you're in a space in which that's like a work situation, or you're feeling obligated or forced to be a part of that thought process, this is where the self-analyzing comes in, where you can think about, why are you thinking that? Why are you feeling like you're forced into a situation? How do you relate to people that perpetuates abuse or misconduct towards you? And also, how do you relate to people in ways that makes you feel good? And how can you perpetuate good relations? So self-acknowledgement is looking at how you relate to people, and whether or not the way that you're relating to people, if that's actually giving you positive results. So for an example, you might be habituated into being abused for an extended period of time. So you're just expecting that people are going to abuse you, people are going to treat you poorly or talk to you negatively or hurt you physically. The way that you're carrying that into your engagements affects how people relate to you. So working on self-healing, working on acknowledging those areas in which past habituations may no longer be serving you, and how you need to let those go in order to adopt healthier coping mechanisms to move forward to having healthy relationships, is extremely important. It starts with yourself, because you cannot affect how other people are going to engage with you. First, you can affect how you respond to their engagement with you, but you cannot affect how people are going to engage with you. So recognizing that you have power and it starts with you, and also recognizing that you might have perpetuated unhealthy boundaries because of past situations that you have experienced, is important. Starting with yourself and trying to understand yourself and loving yourself first is, I think, the first step in honoring yourself. The second thing that I think that is important in honoring yourself is enacting boundaries, or enacting that honoring of the self. When you're enacting this, that is, or my perception of this is that you are actively engaging with boundaries that relate to how you're going to be able to enjoy a healthy space. Enacting the boundaries is really, really difficult. All of this is really difficult. Honoring oneself is extremely difficult to do, especially if you've been habituated to a situation in which honoring yourself has not been encouraged. Enacting boundaries means that you get to decide how you respond to people and how you will let people treat you. So when you've gone through the process, and it's all of these things that I'm talking about here are like back and forth. They're not 1, 2, 3, I'm all better. It's a cyclical process in which you're continuously having to go through each of these things and reassess your life. Your boundaries and honoring yourself is a lifelong process. It's not something where you're like, yay, okay, now I just honor myself and I never have an issue ever again, because that's not going to be the case. Life is continually changing. So enacting your boundaries and realizing that you do not have to put up with anything that you do not want to, at all. If it's family, and you feel obligated to like that you're supposed to love your family, that is, analyze where that is coming from. Because if your family doesn't respect you, if your family doesn't allow you to meet your needs, then that is not honoring yourself. You're living for other people, or how other people want you to be. That's not who you are. And your needs are not a problem. You are not a burden. You are not too much. If someone cannot meet your needs, that's okay. That means that they don't need to be a part of your life. Enacting boundaries, from my perspective, is a form of self-protection, of making sure that you are aligning with the things that are going to make you a healthier and happier person. Enacting boundaries doesn't mean that you're mean or what's wrong with you because you couldn't put up with someone else. That there's literally nothing wrong with that. If you realize that someone has needs that you can't meet, or that it's stressful for you to be around a specific kind of person, or if someone is obviously disrespecting you and they don't honor you, they don't allow you to take care of yourself and meet your needs the way that you need to, because you're also allowed to have a support system. You need to be able to communicate to your support system when you need help, because everyone needs help. And if you cannot trust the people in your support system, or they don't respect you, or all of the other things that I just expressed, enacting your boundaries means that you get to express how you want to be treated. If they cannot treat you that way, then they must be removed or reduced in your life. And that kind of leads into the third thing, which is affecting the environment. Enacting one's boundaries goes hand in hand with affecting your environment, as well as the self-acknowledgement, because the self-acknowledgement, your boundaries, you're going to learn new boundaries all of the time. You're going to realize you're going to be in situations in which you're like, wow, yep, that's a boundary. I didn't realize that was going to be something I don't enjoy, but now I do. And we don't do that here because that makes me uncomfortable. So affecting your environment to reflect what is going to be healthy for you is part of honoring yourself. Affecting your environment would be the removal of people that are not helpful for your mental health. Affecting your daily life to reflect the goals and aspirations and what you need in the moment. If you're struggling with mental health, don't feel bad. That's not the healthiest version of you. If you're struggling, that means that you're struggling and you're having issues in the moment. And you might have difficulties with this thing for the rest of your life. It's like an old wound and it aches sometimes when it's wintertime. But that doesn't mean that you're always broken or that you can't have fun in the rest of your life too. It just means that sometimes you have to be gentle with yourself. And in those spaces in which you're being gentle with yourself, meeting your needs is not a problem. You are not a problem at all. If you're in a space in your life in which you cannot deal with certain people or certain workplace environments or certain schedules, listening to your needs and meeting those needs is healthy for you in this moment. That doesn't mean that later on you can't ascend or grow or change or be interested in something else. An environment that you said wasn't healthy for you before may become something that you can deal with later on. Listening to your needs and meeting them in the moment and affecting your boundaries to reflect what is going to be positive for you and help you heal and align more and more to the life that you would like to live is honoring yourself. Affecting your environment is part of the hardest part of the situation, in which your environment inherently affects others in your life. So if you have friends that you've had for years and you really just never really felt that good around them anyways, you're just kind of doing it because you have time together, analyze where that's coming from. Why do you feel attached to these people? Are there ways in which you can still engage with these people but honor yourself with your boundaries? And then when you express your boundaries, do these people make you feel safe and want to acknowledge your boundaries, even if everyone makes mistakes and it's difficult for them to transition? Do they want to honor your boundaries? Do they respect you and trust you and love you? If they do not honor you, then it's time to remove them from your life. And the same goes for workplace dynamics. Look at yourself as to why you think you have to be in a situation in which you're in. You do not have to work a job that you think you're supposed to. You don't have to be in a career that you think you're supposed to. You do not have to structure your life in the way that you think other people are expecting of you. There are no rules. Other people might look at you and say, oh, they're just not going to be successful. Or, oh, they're doing that wrong. I wouldn't do it that way. Okay, that's fine. They would do things differently. They get to honor themselves that way. They get to honor their boundaries that way. If you're interacting with people that make you feel bad about the way that you want to engage in life, don't interact with those people. In the same capacity, I'm not saying that you only need to be around people that worship and say yes to everything that you say. You need to have a support system in which people tell you honestly, like out of love, and trying to support you in that capacity. So you can have friends in which they love you and validate you for who you are, your personality, the flavor you bring, everything about you, your interests. Those things can align. And at the same time, you can and those same friends can call you out when they see you falling into toxic habituations that you've perpetuated before. And they can say, I love you. What's wrong? Why are you doing this? That's not okay for you. How can I help you? They're not telling you that your dreams are unachievable, or that something is wrong with you, or that you should act differently to make them feel comfortable. That's not what we're talking about here. If people are saying that you need to act differently to make them feel comfortable, that's them expressing a boundary. They don't enjoy something that you're doing and they wish to feel more comfortable. If you cannot honor that boundary, that means you are incompatible and you no longer need to be in the same space, because their boundaries are not boundaries that you can reflect and meet. And at the same time, if you have boundaries that they cannot understand and meet, you do not need to engage. And that's okay. It's sometimes a sad part of life that you can't help everyone or you can't be everything for everyone, but you don't have to be. Being cordial and gentle and kind to everyone is important. But not everyone needs to be a part of your close circle. Not everyone needs to know you and support you. Your support system is who loves and support you. So that's all you need to work. That's all you need to cultivate. Everyone else, if they're not part of that group, you just need to be gentle with them and let that roll off, because they obviously can't meet your needs. They need to meet their own needs, and you can't meet their needs. So allow that separation to occur. So I hope that made some sort of sense. I never really talk in a linear capacity. So honoring yourself, again, I kind of just think that acknowledging how what you bring to relation dynamics is important, so that you can heal through toxic coping mechanisms that were healthy and appropriate in different spaces of your life, but are no longer helpful and healthy for you in new spaces of your life. Acknowledging that and adjusting that is really important. Enacting the honoring of your boundaries. So enacting your boundaries and saying, well, this is how I want to be treated, and allowing yourself to grow and change through that, because your boundaries are going to change throughout life. And then the third thing being that you affecting the environment, your environment, to reflect what is healthy for you at any time. Meeting your needs is important and fair. So these are all of the things that I was thinking about in terms of, honoring myself. I've been working on honoring myself this year. It's a very difficult thing for me to learn. I am very much used to taking care of others and not finding myself to be important enough, or I can just deal with me later. And I'm learning that I'm part of everyone and I get to be taken care of just as much as anybody else. And my boundaries are important too, and if someone doesn't want to meet them, that's okay. They just can't meet my needs. And that doesn't mean that they're not a good person, or anything negative about that. All that it means is that they can't meet my needs. I cannot meet their needs. Our boundaries are incompatible, and that's okay. I'll just have to see them in another capacity, in a different space. But they can't be a part of my support system. I'm curious to see what you think about honoring yourself, what that means to you. If you resonated with anything, please let me know. Leave a comment. I love you. 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 I love you so much. You're allowed to honor yourself. You're allowed to have boundaries. Anyone who said that you're too much, or you're not allowed to have boundaries, or your boundaries are weird, or anything that's wrong with you, that's not true. There's nothing wrong with you. You're in the wrong space. And you need to be around people that love you, because I love you and other people want to love you. Other people want to support you. You are lovable. You're valid, and you're allowed to have boundaries. And it's okay if other people can't meet them. I love you. I hope you have such a good day. I hope you have a better day tomorrow. I hope you have a good week and a good month, and everything starts to go your way. I hope that you feel loved and encouraged, and I hope that you start to find people that align with you and encourage your growth for whatever it is, however your life moves around and changes for you. Mwah. Okay, I'll see you next time. Bye.